This meeting is being recorded.
All right, welcome out to another episode of the Gridiron 64 podcast. This is brought to you by GT Sports, obviously, and it's Wednesday evening, and of course, that means we're going to be talking Coastal Bend football as we're recapping the 2022 football season. And tonight, we're going to talk about the 3A Division One, Region 4, District 15. 7 teams, man, and this is a good district here. Some tough teams, and I think next year is going to be better than this year. On the screen, you see I got my partner TJ Riddell. TJ, how you doing this evening?
I am doing fantastic. Um, as a matter of fact, so yeah, everything's good. There's a lot of moves in football right now, especially in Coastal Bend football. You got a lot of teams losing some guys, some dogs of coordinators going to different places, but there's new coaches making an impact already. So I'm really interested to see how this next season's going to go.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. Tony Pena couldn't make it tonight. He had something to do with the family, so hopefully we can get him back next week. But yeah, like I said, we're going to talk the 3A Division One. Some of these teams, definitely from the Coastal Bend area. I really like this team. You've been paying attention to these teams here. It's 7 teams. I think a lot of these teams are going to be better next year than they were this year. And so we're going to kind of jump right in and talk about this. Of course, we'll start talking, TJ, with the district champs, the number one team, obviously the Edna Cowboys. They went 13-2 in the overall was their record. They were undefeated 6-0 in district play. This is a very, very good football team last year. They've got their quarterback, I believe, number 3, Jaden Clay, will be back next year for his senior year. I mean, this guy, is just a phenomenal athlete. Definitely going to be talking a lot about him on the Gridiron 64 next year. They advanced in 2022 to the 4th round of the playoffs. They lost eventually to Franklin in the 4th round, 41-13, if mine serves correct. Franklin was they went all the way to state and won state over Brock, I believe it was 17, 14, something like that. I could be wrong. I got to check my notes, but just a great team that next year look to repeat as district champs in a tough division, tough district. And like I said, it all starts with their quarterback, Clay. So I'll turn it over to you. Give me your thoughts on Edna and some stats on some of the players outside of their quarterback that may be coming back. Does he have a lot of talent coming back next year where these guys can make another deep playoff run?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, Gabriel, this team is a very young team and an explosive offense, you know, and they have a stingy defense too. So we don't have stats on the Edna Cowboys, surprisingly, but I can tell you from what I've seen from Edna this past season, they fly to the ball defensively. And offensively, they are just explosive and they can hurt you in many different ways. Uh, it just so happened it was unfortunate that they lost to Franklin, who is a very, very tough challenge in recent memory, two-time state champion now. But listen, the Edna Cowboys, they are very young, and they got Jaden Clay, who's at the helm, and he is really kicking in the high gear. Um, and then you got a lot of freshmen and sophomores. Uh, he is going to lose Harrison Smiga or Smiga. Uh, he's 5'10", 160 pounds. And then you got Caleb Rodas, who is a senior this year. He's going to miss. And then Kevin Robinson. But Edna's going to be reloading this season, and that's the most important thing. They're going to be reloading this season with Kenyon Turner, who's 5'11", 180, and he's only a freshman. Um, Hunter Bowring, who's 5'10", 175, also a freshman. Keegan Hicks, that's a big name. That's a big name to know. He's a freshman, 5'8", 140, and he's got 3 years to go. Marquez Robinson, running back, middle linebacker, sophomore. He weighs 155. Watch out for him. And then Floyd Raxton. Watch out for Floyd Raxton, too. So, like I said, I don't have any stats for the Cowboys, but they are some dogs. Okay. So,
Yeah, and like I said, Edna's probably they're in great position to repeat as district champs. I mean, this team only lost one game the regular season. That was to Refurio. So that just kind of shows you how good Refurio was this year, right? They went all the way to the state
yeah.
title. But the thing with Edna, I saw them play their game against Sinton. Sinton, of course, not the powerhouse Sinton team that we're accustomed to seeing down here in the coastal Bend area, right? But nevertheless, a really good team, very well coached team, and Edna really took them apart. Really good defense as well, and they were able to score, I believe, 40 something points on or something like that on Sinton. So a very dangerous team, I believe, and it all starts with this quarterback. And as you heard, TJ, if you put talent around him, he's got talent around him. This team is going to be great again next year. We'll see if any of the other 6 teams, TJ, can knock them out next year. So here on the Gridiron, definitely going to be paying attention to the 3A Division One District 15, and it's going to be good. The second team that ended up second place in this district were the Vanderbilt Industrial Cobras. They were 10-3 overall, 5-1 in district play. Obviously, their one loss was to the district champs, the Edna Cowboys. They advanced to the 3rd round of the playoffs in 2022. They lost to Lano 42-17. What do you got on Vanderbilt? How many guys have they got coming back? Because look, they had a great season. They lost to a good team in Edna, but I expect this team to come back and contend for a district title again next year. What do you got for us?
So, we don't have stats for Vanderbilt Industrial either. So, it looks like these small schools don't want to give out their stats. So, that's fine. Understandable. But they have a young man at quarterback who's a junior, who's going to be a senior next year. Ashton Garza. This kid is unreal. Like, he can ball, So, in Vanderbilt Industrial, they are probably the closest to beating Edna in this district, in my opinion, going into next season. But yeah, man, I see a lot of good out of this team. They are losing Aiden Baker. He was a quarterback / corner. He was the backup quarterback actually. But they are getting a lot of people back. They're gonna have a big senior class this coming up season. But yeah, they are gonna lose Carson Van Pelt, who is a dog. Preston Spike, they're losing him. Michael Warren, who is their punter and wide receiver, 6'3". He's leaving too. But then you got Zachary Kuchler, who's leaving as well. But you still got a lot of good talent for Vanderbilt Industrial, skill position wise, and then Vincent Rodriguez, the outside linebackers, leaving as well, and then Ben Cone, Jacob Repka, a guard for Vanderbilt Industrial. He's a big key to their success on offense. He's leaving this season, so that's a big shoe to fill right there. And then Riley Hunt, who's the tight end middle linebacker, he's leaving as well. So you got a couple big time players leaving, but I still think that the Cobras can fill those spots in, and they're gonna be good next season as well. I don't know if they'll be able to beat Edna though. That's my only worry.
Well,
Can they match up well with Edna next season? And we will see. We will see. And I am excited about this district next season. I feel like this district could be tough, even tougher next season.
well, the one thing I'll say here on this about this district about Vanderbilt, right? They had 2 losses outside of the Lano, the playoff loss. They lost to Shiner and they lost to Edna. Now the Edna game wasn't even close. It was 46-0. So Edna shut them out.
Yeah.
So with Edna coming back with being a young team, you almost got to think, okay, what can change here for for Vanderbilt because they really didn't play a really good game against them. Now, I don't know the stats on that. We don't have the stats to see if there were any turnovers or what the case may be, but Edna will definitely be tough. Vanderbilt, again, you heard TJ here, got some players coming back, and the ones that they are losing, hopefully they'll be able to replace them. But this should again be a very competitive district for the title. See if any of these teams can dethrone Edna, because as right now, as this sits early on here, and I mean, my mind can change here in the summer, right before we make our predictions. But boy, I've watched, I kind of researched this district. I love Edna. So unless something happens
Yeah,
between now and then, I'm probably going to stick with Edna again. But you never know. Anything can happen. I still got to do a little bit more research. But definitely Vanderbilt, 10-3, not a bad overall record with 5-1, just losing to a good Edna team. We'll go now to the third place team in this district, and that was the Goliad Tigers. Overall record 8-4, 4-2 in district play. They advanced to the second round of the playoffs, where they lost to Lano. So Goliad had been on a downturn here for a couple of years. You know, they were really, really good. They've always been very competitive. So it looks like they're back up again. Any stats on Goliad, or what do you know about this team going into the 2023 season?
one thing that they have different about uh, Edna and Vanderbilt Industrial, they have stats. Um, so they are going to lose two big components for this offense, and that's their quarterback and that's their running back. Number 5, Reyes, who completed 66 for 114 attempts, threw almost 1,200 yards passing, and has thrown 12 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So they're gonna miss that key component. He had a 116.4 QBR, but I am interested to see their quarterback matchup between Perry and Wallach. Uh, both quarterbacks seem to learn from Reyes, and I'm really intrigued to see how Goliad's gonna have their QB battle. So I really would like to see uh, who wins that one. But that's not all. They're gonna miss number 25 Perry, who is their leading rusher this season, and Council, who's their second leading rusher. So you're missing two big components in the run game with Perry, number 25, and number 25. He had 85 carries, 714 yards with 10 touchdowns, and then Council, 69 carries, 357 yards rushing, and 7 touchdowns. So they are gonna miss um, the older Perry, Council, and Reyes. But one good thing that I do see is that they're gonna have Luke Luso or Luco coming back for his senior year, number 4. So he should help out that those young quarterbacks for Goliad. But then you look down and you see two seniors, Council and Laura, who's gonna be leaving. Laura is the leading receiver in yardage, but they didn't really throw the ball as much this season. And then you look on the defensive side, they're gonna miss Barraza, who dominated in the total tackles list with 128. The second place, or the second leading tackler was Hernandez, number 34, who's a sophomore, with just 82. So you're missing a big piece right there for your team. That's all over the field. A dog at that.
Mhm.
Well balanced too. So 59 solo tackles and 69 assists. So he was a big part of that defense. But now it looks like Hernandez is going to be the new Barraza, and then Council's leaving as well. So sack leaders, you got Anderson, who's coming back, but Council, he's a senior, he's leaving. They both have 5 sacks each. And then you got Washington, number 62, who was a sophomore this season. Only played 6 games, but he had 3 sacks this season. Goliad had 18 total sacks in 11 games, so that's really impressive for the Tigers. And 10 hurries. So 18 sacks and 10 hurries. It seems like to me they get to the quarterback fast.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then you look on the interceptions list, they are getting back their uh best defender as far as the pass game, and that's Rosenquist, who had 7 interceptions this season. 7. I think that's the highest we've seen so far, Gabriel. Uh, Probably the second closest is Lonnie Atkinson. So then you got Steptoe, who had 3. The younger Perry at 2. Reagan at 1. And Cisneros at 1. I mean, there's only 2 seniors that you're going to lose out of that secondary. And I I think this Goliad secondary is going to be really good next season, Gabriel. That's going to be the key for Goliad against Edna and Vanderbilt. So, yeah, that's
Yeah,
all I got for that.
yeah, and they Goliad ended up third place, obviously in the district, right? But it was real interesting because I was looking at their schedule. I'm watching softball here. Excuse me, and I'm watching
Okay.
the lady Longhorns, right? 'Cause I get into softball now too. I've got 5. I'm watching Philadelphia, all kinds of stuff going around me, but this is a really good game. But back to football. My apologies. Goliad is really good. They lost by 1 point to Industrial, right? Vanderbilt, which that could have gone either way, right? And then they lose 21-7 to Edna. So they were even the 2 losses in district. This team was very, very competitive. You can even make an argument that they played Edna tougher than Vanderbilt, right? The third place team played
Oh
them better than
yeah.
second. So you're talking about that defense. That defense is critical for Goliad because it's the defense that'll keep them in a lot of the ball games and see like
Yes.
this year. So when you talk about their secondary, this is what we're going to pay attention to next year, right? This Goliad defense, if they become better than they were last year, oh my goodness, because like I said, they were very competitive. They could have easily won this district. Well, they did. They lost. I mean, they 21-7. If your defense can hold that Edna offense and that quarterback to 21 points, it's a moral win for you, right? In my books. And then there was just 1 point that they lost to. So if that offense gets a little bit rolling next year and that defense comes back as strong, this Goliad Tiger team will be tough. So we're going to definitely
They'll
be
be
paying
a team
attention
to
to.
watch out for sure, man.
Absolutely. I think that the Goliad fans got a lot to be excited about going into the 2023 season. Again, this is a tough district, though, very tough district. Some very, very good teams that maybe if you weren't that good this year, man, next year a lot of things can change. So we'll jump over to the fourth place team in this district. The last team that made the playoffs, the Corpus Christi London Pirates. They were 5-6. Down. I would say it's a down year for them in 2022, right, compared to what they did the year before. But the London Pirates 5-6, 3-3 in district play. They advanced to the second round of the playoffs. This is a fourth place team that went to the playoffs, and then they lost to Blanco, who 40-13. So again, I think it's a down year, obviously in 2022 from the way this team is accustomed to playing. What do they have coming back? Can this team, TJ, be a little bit better in 2023?
Well, I could start off by telling you what they're not going to have back, and it's 3 big losses here for London. Nace Navarro, he's their quarterback slash running back. He's a senior, 6 foot, 180 pounds. He can make some really good throws, and they're gonna miss him. And then you got Cameron Kuipers, who is their middle linebacker, nose guard. He'll be missed for the Pirates defense. 5'9", 185. And James Cable, defensive tackle, 6 foot, 170. This kid is uh really good as well. So they're gonna miss those guys, and then Jet Christmas as well. do have Aiden Ida, who's going to play one more year. Morgan Love, center middle linebacker, one more year for the Pirates, and then Giancarlo Maribel. Wow, what a name!
Mhm.
He's their running back junior. I'm just reading off of what I got here, and there's not a whole lot of information from London right now. So hopefully we can get a better list of information from London. Uh, Max Prep. But Israel Leal, wide receiver corner. He's a sophomore, 5'7", 137. So I really am interested to see Israel Leal this season. I think he's going to be a good opponent next season. And then Corbin Egenbrecht, I think he's going to be good next season as well. Um, so then you got Jay Bribula, who is 6'1", 168. He's a wide receiver, corner, and kicker. So he's their place kicker. I am interested to see how he does. And then I do see that they have a quarterback for next season. AC Carpentier, 5'10". He's only a sophomore this season. I am intrigued to see what we're going to see out of London next season. There's no stats on these guys as far as Max Prep is concerned. But yeah, it was a very disappointing season for London. And just like reading through the Max Preps, it is very disappointing to see no stats. So I mean, this is going to be a make it or break it year for London, or they're going to probably miss the playoffs for the first time in quite some
Well,
time.
yeah, I think that's a possibility. This is they were in a different district last year, right? They weren't in this district last year. They were in a different district. So and you could argue, well, I could argue, right? This is a tougher district than what they were in last year, right?
Oh,
There's
definitely.
a lot of tough teams here. Looking at their schedule in 2022, though, the three teams they lost to were the three teams in district that went above them 1, 2, and 3, and they weren't very competitive. Of course, that's last year. Years change from year to year. Different players come up, make injuries, all kinds of things happen. But us as podcasters, right, we look at all of this stuff. We are expecting London to be a little bit more competitive. Obviously, you've heard already with Edna and Industrial and Goliad, what these guys got coming back. So it's going to be another the dogfight between these four teams. Can they? Of course, the goal is to advance back into the playoffs. Can London, get to 3 or 2, possibly even a district title? We'll see. It's still early on. Still got a lot of time before next year, 2023 comes around, but it does roll around pretty quick, right? We just kind of wanted to get a recap, get some names out there to see players that the Gridiron definitely will be paying attention to in 2023. I just want to remind everybody too that this GT Sports and all of the podcasts that it has 4 podcasts. They all do different things, the Gridiron 64 being one of them. We're going to move everything over. We're in the process of moving everything over to YouTube. So for those people that do not have social media, you can definitely tune into our live streams on YouTube, our podcast, any guests that we have. We're going to try to move everything over to YouTube. It's just the GT Sports. If it's a Gridiron 64, you can just catch our interviews. Everything is live streaming through the GT Sports network, right? But the podcast, the sport podcast, anytime we come on, any interviews that we get, you can catch it on our GT Sports on our YouTube channel. So if you don't have social media, any of the platforms, you can always go into YouTube and check us out there. Also, we do have the audio on Anchor, Google Podcast, Spotify. It's just strictly on audio, but we transfer it there too. So when you're commuting back and forth to work, you can definitely catch out any of the podcasts that you like, the Pirates Cove, Universal Sports, Best of the Best podcast, or the Gridiron 64. GT Sports has all 4 of them. You can catch them on audio as well on, like I said, Google Podcast, Anchor, and Spotify as well. So, and on YouTube. So just wanted to throw that out there. Going to continue to try to expand as much as we can. Now we'll go to the 3 teams, TJ, that did not make the playoffs. And we'll start off with the number 5 team, the Palacios Sharks, 2-8 overall, 2-4 in district play. Is this team going to get any better? What do they have coming back? Not sure. Maybe none of these teams have stats, but anything that maybe you see that this team could possibly, I would imagine the goal would be to get into the playoffs.
So, bad news is they are losing quite a bit as far as senior class, but it might be a good thing. You never know. Like as far as uh, teams that really struggled last season, like Palacios, Mathis, and Aransas Pass, um, a change of scenery through a senior class might be a really good thing. As far as like I don't know, maybe there was some tension in the locker room or something, but they are going to lose their seniors, White number 1 and Alcantara number 4. That was their primary passers, which they didn't really throw the ball very much. But they do have a freshman that I would love to see. This kid's name is Savion Nixon. Now, Savion Nixon is a talented kid, and he's got a lot of room to grow. You could definitely say that he is their Elijah Huff. So I mean, he threw the ball 6 out of 14 times this season for 39 yards. He threw 2 interceptions, but it's a learning curve for him. So, but then you look at his stats rushing. He didn't really get the ball that much, but I do see that most of the seniors got all the carries. So, like I said, a change of scenery may help out Lashes as far as like the all the seniors leaving, but the receiving core, they're only losing Sandoval and Alcantara, but they got Ruiz, Graves, and West coming back. West is a sophomore. Ruiz, Graves are juniors, and then they got Ben Chaka, who's a junior. So you still got some pretty good wide receivers, but offensively you're losing a lot of seniors, and defensively as well you're losing your top 4 out of 5 best tacklers who had Perez, who was a senior, 5, Woodard, 1, Lev, 43, and Flores at 39. But West had 33. He's a sophomore. And Jurassic, who's a junior, going to be a senior next year, 32. Ortega, senior. White, senior. I mean, I'm reading senior.
Yeah.
It's going to be a change of scenery for Palacios. I mean, I'm not saying they had tension in the locker room, but maybe with you losing that senior class, that might be a step into the right direction, because that may be the case at some time.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, they're in a tough district though, and when we talk about the upper guys, the guys at the top bracket, right, the guys that made the playoffs, it looks like they're going to continue to be tough, right? Don't look like they're going to let down. So it seems early on that Palacios again might struggle next year, especially with losing a lot of the seniors again. Like TJ said, you never know, what can happen. Sometimes surprises happen. A younger classman, a change of scenery could be what they need, but they are in a tough district. And, talking about Goliad Industrial and Edna coming back, looks like they're still going to have a lot of their studs coming back from next year. So I think Palacios is going to, again, it's going to be a very, very tough. They're playing in a very tough district. But again, you never know. We'll see what the Sharks come up with in 2023. Next, we'll go on to the 6th place team in this district, which was the Mathis Pirates. They had an overall record of 3-7, 1-5 in district play. But the one thing we remember here on the Gridiron, right, is we talked a lot about it when they had that one win early on against a really good Taft Greyhound team. Now we've talked to, the coaches in Taft. We've had them on the Gridiron. They talked a little bit about what happened, but nevertheless, TJ, it was a good win for Mathis. They beat a very, very good Taft team, a very explosive offense. Now it was a high scoring game that I can remember, but again, you beat a very good team at that time. There were still Taft No excuses, right? But they were still trying to figure out the defense and what they were going to do. Of course, Tav got a lot better as the season progressed, but in this game, just being able to compete with them and get a win over a good team, got to build you some confidence. But then get in the district and playing these tough teams, and that just shows you how good these other teams are, right? Edna and Industrial, and them, because they end up only winning one game in district. So I'll ask you with Mathis, was this a young team? Do they got a lot of their players coming back? I mean, what do you know about
Yeah.
Mathis going into 2023?
I can tell you this: they got their leading rusher back. They don't have any real stats for throwing the ball. Well, they do, but Montemayor, who's a freshman, he got a taste of what varsity football was like. But let's talk about that Taft game first. I am calling that the upset of the year. Upset of the year for Mathis to beat Taft at Taft. That speaks a lot of volume. And this team may have not went to the playoffs. They may have not played well in district. But I will say this: this team might be on the rise, Gabriel. They're a very young football team. They're only losing a little bit, and they're not really big contributors that I am seeing here. Maybe Valise, who only had 120 yards receiving and 13 yards rushing. So, or I'm sorry, 329 rushing. But their biggest weapon was Ibarra, who's a junior this season, number one. 186 carries for almost 1,300 yards, averaging almost 7 yards a pop with 13 touchdowns. Okay. In Montemayor, he's a young kid, 56 completions for 113 attempts, 600 yards. He had 4 touchdowns, but he had 9 interceptions. So that is a learning process. So he's got 3 years to make it right. So that's no worry. That's no worry at all. And he's got a great supporting cast coming back. So I really want to see what the Ibarra kid can do this next season. And I think he's going to be a legitimate threat next season for this district. Now, pushing it over to defense because there's not really that much passing. The highest rated senior in their defense is De Leon, number 20. He'll be missed. He had 49 total tackles, 25 solo, 24 assists. He was just all over the place, man. But their leading tacklers are coming back. Zamora, who's a sophomore, 33 solo and 34 assists, and 67 total tackles. And Kuehler, who's a junior, 38 solo and 22 assists. And yeah, this is a young football team, and they have a mean streak, man. I really want to see this team succeed. But they are losing their one half of the sack leaders in Odom, number 12. He had 3 sacks this season, but Kuehler's coming back with 3 sacks, and then we all know De Leon's leaving, but they have a lot of sophomores, Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of sophomores and juniors, so it's a mix of young, vibrant veterans coming in. So expect to see that Mathis team to be hungry next season. So, but they are going to miss De Leon, who's one half of the interception leaders, and then Gonzalez, who's a sophomore, is coming back, and Dominguez, who's a sophomore, he's coming back. Burnell, he's a freshman, he's coming back. I mean, young, vibrant. This team is going to be good. I don't know if they can compete to the level of Vanderbilt Industrial or Edna or possibly Goliad next season, but this team's going to be tough to beat. I can tell you that right now, Gabriel. I think that teams are going to have a lot of trouble with Mathis next season.
Well, the great thing about a team that finish six places. Hopefully you're going to go up. You have some big wins. You had a big win over Taft, which was good. Looking at their district, their play, right? They got got beat, obviously by a lot of their teams in the district that were a lot tougher than they were, but they were very young. So a lot of these guys coming back, you still can build off of that one big win over a really good team. So we'll see what this team. I'm going to really look at Mathis and see how they start off next year in their non-district, because that the
Yeah.
non-district for this team is going to tell us a lot of how they're going to do. If they fare well against some of these teams in non-district, then they may have a chance in district. If they don't do very well in the non-district, they're probably going to struggle in this district again next year. But we'll see. It's still very early on. That's the Mathis Pirates, and then we'll go to the final team in this district, and this is the town that's right next to where TJ and I live. It's just a couple of miles down north of us. And that's the Aransas Pass Panthers. They ended up with an overall record of 1-9. Did not win a district game, 0-6 in district play. TJ, this is a team. I remember Aransas Pass. And I remember when this team in 3A was a powerhouse and they were going deep into the playoffs. We were going to these on the road watching this team play. It's been years, right? But they were I can't remember them ever being as bad as they've been the last 2 years, as far as their winning percentage, right? This has been a team that has struggled in the last 2 years. Now they do have a new coach that came in, and it takes some time to build your system. And I've seen the coach interview, and I like what he's saying. I like what they're doing down there. It takes some time. So I'm looking, it's kind of tough for Aransas Pass, because again, when you bring in a new coach, trying to bring a new system, they throw you in a district that's just, look at what we're talking about, right? So it's hard
Yeah.
for Aransas Pass, to try to compete. What do they got coming in 2023? I saw some things. I saw some video on this team. They had some players this year overall, the whole overall team. You have to have a team, right? A good defense, obviously a good offense, but they had some players that did really good this year. This coach in Aransas Pass really trying to build this team. And I tell you, TJ, he just may get it done. I don't know if they'll do it next year, but he's trying to get this team, this young guys that are coming up here the next 2-3 years, try to be more competitive. What did you see, if anything, from Aransas Pass in 2022 that you think can be a bright spot going into 2023?
Well, I'm going to put in one word: hope. This team has struggled for the last decade or so, with just a lot of bad seasons, and there's been points where they were in a Rockport and Ingleside and Sinton district that they would just get pounded every week, and at one point they were powerhouses. Remember Tommy Blake from Aransas?
Mhm.
Went to TCU, he was a dominant force down here. He was a phenomenal player for Aransas, and just completely dominated one side of the field. And Aransas was able to be that tough defense with Tommy Blake, And there was other guys besides Tommy Blake, man. But what I see is a young team that they are losing their best runner, but they have a young quarterback that's a sophomore this season. He's got 2 more years to grow. 126 completions, 248 attempts, almost 1,200 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, but he did throw 15 interceptions. That's not good. So hopefully with this new coach coming into Aransas, he can help this guy develop, because minus 115 and add 15 to the touchdown column, you're looking at a different Aransas Pass team, man. You're looking at a different stat for Schultz. Schultz is a very young quarterback, and I'm sure he's going to make some critical errors in his first 2 seasons with Aransas, but junior and senior seasons are put up or shut up years, is what I like to call those 2 years. They're put up or shut up years. So hopefully this coach can get this kid on the right track, and hopefully this team can get on the right track because it's been a while since we've seen Aransas Pass as a formidable opponent, and they're losing their best runner, who is Acosta. He had 849 rushing yards with 192 carries with 10 touchdowns. You know, he
Yeah,
was he was there.
he was the house for him. Absolutely.
He was their uh he was their shield. He was there to win for that team, and they're gonna miss him a lot because he was also the leading tackler. But they also have a young man who's the second leading tackler in Hamilton. Hamilton had 51 total tackles, with Valdez Jr. also having uh, 51 tackles. I mean, this team's on the right path. Even though they went 1-9, they are on the right path. Let's be honest, Gabriel. This new head coach coming in, I think he could turn this program around. It may not be this year. It may not be next year. Give it time. Give it time, Aransas. And I can see this team being a legitimate threat in the next several years or next couple years. But I will say one good thing. Their leading, their sack leader is a freshman, Hamilton, with 3 sacks. Their leading DB, Valdez Jr., who's a junior, 6 interceptions.
Mhm.
So there is some good, there is some hope for Aransas Pass. Okay? So with all the doubters for Aransas Pass, it may not be this year, it may not be next year, but watch out for them in the next couple of years because I feel like this coach can develop these guys, and he's got this program on the right direction. And just like his neighbor down the road, he's already trying to build a new foundation for that team. So
Well, if you look, remember, I don't know. Time will tell, right? 1-9 is tough, right? You
yeah,
look at
it's a tough
it
bounce
wasn't it was
back.
yeah, it's not a good season for you when you're 1-9. But I will say
No,
this about Aransas Pass. You know, a couple years ago when Hunter Hammer came to Ingleside, he was in a really tough district, and I remember these guys getting pounded on every week. Every
yep,
week, Ingleside, I mean, even Sinton, there were the two coastal Bend area teams that were in this Cuero district and stuff, and they were getting pounded on the first time. I remember they were losing. We know the results, right? Where Ingleside is now today, right? Took some years to get there, but you build that program from the ground up. It takes some time, right? Now we know what Ingleside is doing as far as getting into the playoffs and being more competitive in the district. That's why I say with Aransas Pass, you got a new coach coming in here. He was taking on a program that was, when he got here, was on its way down and it had already been down, right? So it takes some time. Can this coach be the coach to deal with it? It will take some time, and we can't say yes or no now because time will tell. And then
yeah,
they're in a tough district with Edna, so it didn't make it any easier when you're trying to build up morale there for your players, right? But it's still too early, I think. Here on the Gridiron, it's too early, I'll say, for us to see, what Aransas Pass will not become with this coach. How long will he be here? But obviously, another tough season in 2022. We'll see what 2023 brings. But again, like you said, there are some bright spots with these younger guys. Guys that are going to be there 2 more years or so. They'll become leaders next year. We'll see what the senior year. So there is some positive there for the Panthers. We'll see what happens. But definitely going to keep an eye on them. They're our neighbors down the street. You're on the Gridiron. Obviously, we wish them well, right? Because they're just right down the street from us. We want to see this team compete at a high level and be very competitive in district. So we'll see what 2023 brings, but definitely we'll talk a little bit more about them. We haven't done much of that on the Gridiron, but we will next year as we try to see what this team can do. Again, TJ, they're going to be in a very, very tough district. So it'll be tough again next year, but we'll see what Aransas Pass can do in 2023. So that'll conclude the 3A Division One, Region 4. Tune in to our Gridiron 64 Facebook and Twitter page tomorrow, as I'll let you know next week the teams that we will be talking about next week. It'll be another 3A, but tune in as I'll let you know. I'll write down, I'll post exactly what a district we'll be talking about next week. So if it's your team, tune in to look for that post, and then we'll give you date and time that we'll come on. Of course, we're not live, we're recorded. So we record one day, we upload it the next day. If not, if I've got time that night, I'll do it. But if not, it's usually the next day. So definitely this is going to be District 15, 3A Division One, District 15 going to be the Gridiron's definitely going to be paying attention to it, man. They've got some great teams there. TJ, now we'll talk a little bit about some coaches changes. Last week we talked about Rockport's coach leaving, and it's been kind of a surprise, right? Because Hamrick left here. Jay Seibert from Rockport, Hamrick from Ingleside, Jay Seibert from Rockport, Brad Smithy from Westoso. I read a post where he was also leaving. So a lot of head coaches leaving, but the biggest one, I think, outside of those guys as a coordinator that's leaving, I know you're really high on Miller, is Matthew McHugh. I mean, this guy, everybody knows him around the Coastal Bend area, been in Miller, man. I mean, and with Justin Evans and all of his assistants, McHugh being up there, right? They have had so much success. But I read what you posted up there where he's taking a job and leaving Miller. I was kind of shocked, but not shocked because obviously when you've got a good coaches and you got a good reputation, coaches are going to come calling for you, right? I mean, programs are going to come calling for the coaches, right? And coaches got to, you got to make a decision based on what's in your best interest for you and your family. So losing him in the Coastal Bend area is going to be huge. But again, congratulations to Matt on continuing to progress up the ladder, right? And we wish him very much success here on the Gridiron, where we can cover any football team in the Texas, any football program in Texas, right? So we won't be covering this school in particular, but we can talk during the 2023 and let everybody know what we know as far as how well this team is doing. But I know you follow. I know you went to school. I think you were younger than he was, but obviously you have a connection with them. You love Miller. So talk a little bit about us, and how surprised were you, TJ, that Matt took this position and is leaving the Miller Bucks?
I'm not that surprised. This guy has a bright future in coaching. It may not be in the next 2 years. It may be in the next 5 years that we could see him as a head coach. I mean, that's how much I think he could be a head coach in 3 years. Honestly, that's how much confidence I have in Matt. And same thing for David. Both the McHugh brothers are on the rise. Their stock is up as far as being a head coach. Uh, David having his first season with Ingleside, success over here for Ingleside, having success over at Taft, and then you look at Matt. He was the one that was pretty much everywhere from Lubbock to down here in Miller, and he's been with Miller for quite some time, and it's sad to see him leave Miller, but it was time for him to make his decision. It was time for him to head out to Crowley, who has some pretty good talent. They went 4-7 this past season. They went to the playoffs, and they have a young quarterback who's actually pretty accurate with the ball, but not but he's well balanced with the touchdown interception ratio, which Matt can fix that. I mean, if you look at Matt's reputation over at Miller, Andrew Body, Jaden Brown, Trevor Long, those three names right there, they are successful quarterbacks from Miller.
Mhm.
And right now, Jaden Brown and Trevor Long, they're interchanging, So, yeah, I am super happy for Matt for this opportunity. It's there to showcase himself in the DFW area. Very, very tough football environment, for one. Uh, but I will say this. Matt has a bright future with this team. And this team went 4-3 in district. They were third in their district. And I'm about to tell you who they have. They got North Crowley. They got Boswell, They got Trinity, Weatherford, Bell, Chisholm Trail, and Pascal. Okay, and none of these teams are bad at all. It's just a very tough district, and it is a very big district. You're talking about 8 teams in this district right now. So you're facing 7 other teams in this district.
Mhm.
So Crowley, uh, you're gonna have a hell of an offensive coordinator over over there, and it's sad to see him leave the Coastal Bend, but it is great that Coastal Bend coaches are being looked at now, and it looks very vibrant here that people want Coastal Bend coaches, especially Matthew going all the way to Dallas. That's a huge accomplishment in the Coastal Bend and for the McHugh brothers because those guys are smart offensively and defensively. So I could very well see both the brothers, the McHugh brothers, being head coaches at some point in their career. Um, but like I said, uh, Matthew was able to help out Justin Evans with that offense, and Evans is going to miss him, but he knows it's business. Got to make this, got to make decisions for yourself and your family. And Matthew with his wonderful family, Ashley or not Ashley, but yeah, just a phenomenal coach, man. And I am gonna keep up with Crowley and how they're gonna do. I think they're gonna spike up offensively because they got a really good offensive coordinator heading that way. Uh, and who knows, he may get a college job at some point, and I might be covering him on the PMP. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
You never know, man.
yeah, and I'm very proud of him. So Matt, if you're watching this, I know you keep up with the gridiron. Also, good job. Hell of a run down here in Miller, and I cannot wait to see what you do over there in Crowley and to help out that program over there. It's not a struggling program, but it's a program that can be updated and upgraded. So I look forward to seeing him, and I look forward to seeing Crowley and see how well they play this next season. One more thing I want to add to, and this is for a player. JC Smith. We said his name a lot on the pod
Mhm.
on the gridiron. So this kid is phenomenal. We know that. He's coming back for his senior year.
Mhm.
This kid just got his first D1 offer. And
Oh,
this D1
great.
offer, yeah. So the D1 offer is going towards Monroe, Louisiana,
Good.
the University of Louisiana of Monroe.
Mhm.
So congratulations, JC Smith. You're a dog, and I cannot wait to cover that kid next season. For Ingleside, and same towards the rest of the Coastal Bend talent that is being overlooked, but deserves D1 scholarships and deserves D1 offers. I cannot wait to cover y'all this season.
Well, that's why
This
we're here, right? That's why the
Yeah,
gridiron is
and
here. The gridiron's here.
The
Yeah.
Coastal Bend is on the rise, Gabriel. I am telling you right now, everybody that is overlooking the Coastal Bend, you better watch out because
I would have to agree with that, TJ. I think for Matt, obviously, when you have success in a program, right? Obviously, there's going to be other programs that are going to look at you and they're going to call. I mean you're always um, interviewing for the next job, and as
yeah,
coaches, I think head coaches realize that, and Miller has had success here for quite some time now, especially on the offensive side, right? So coaches are going to look at they're going to look at your head coach, they're going to look at your assistants, and they're going to be trying to, get them up there where they're at or down there or wherever they're at in Texas, right? And so, I think what it does, though, obviously, too, is it gets the next person. If should Coach Evans decide to hire within to promote somebody, it gives somebody an opportunity who's been working their butt off there with that program, gives them now an opportunity to step up as well. Should he chose to go that route, right? Because Miller has a lot of great assistant coaches, so there might be somebody there that's in the waiting now, to step up. I mean, I don't know how they have everything set up over there, but it's never a bad thing when assistant coaches are being looked at and or the call or whatever, however it went, right? Whatever the reasons are for him going. But obviously we say that, he's going because the program there at Miller has been so good for quite some time there with Justin Evans and all of these guys. So they still got a lot of great assistant coaches. He's definitely going to be missed at Miller, I'm sure. But the next man stands up, gets up there. They still got Justin Evans there. So Miller's still going to be tough. Definitely going to be paying attention to this team up there up north and seeing what they do as far as how well he's doing. And we'll let you guys know here on the Gridiron. For Brad Smithy, a guy that was on the last year on the Gridiron 64, they've got some great athletes out there at Westoso. So I think he did a great job while he was here. I mean, obviously, Ingleside getting better, playing against Rockport Fulton the last couple of years. Sinton, always in a tough district, but got into the playoffs and did some great things. So definitely he'll be moving on now as well. So a lot of new faces in the Coastal Bend area in 2023. Rockport still has to get one. We've seen Ingleside got a new coach. Westoso will be looking at another head coach. So a lot of changes in the Coastal Bend area for 2023. But definitely the Gridiron will be sending out invitations to them next year. So some coaches come on. Hopefully these coaches will come on. Some don't like the interview, don't have the time. We definitely understand that. But the invitations go out. Definitely want to get more coaches and players in 2023. But yes, we just kind of definitely wanted to mention that. And for Smith, the receiver there for Ingleside, he's got a senior year. He had a great junior year. So we're looking forward. We do cover Ingleside to see what this young man is going to continue to do his senior year, and those offers hopefully will continue to come. But that's a big accomplishment for this young man. So from the Gridiron here, TJ and myself, congratulations. We hope to have him on the podcast. Yeah. We hope to have him on the podcast next year in 2023. So we'll definitely see yeah, we're doing. I love that stuff. We do a lot of that stuff here on the Gridiron. We're going to start doing that. But again, TJ, man, another great podcast. I like I said, I just real excited. I think there's a lot of talent. We got 37 teams that we cover in the Coastal Bend area. We're going to add 10 more. I've still been working on that list. I'm also working on an intro. I've talked to my tech guy, so he's working on an intro for us to bring it up here. Hopefully he'll have it ready soon. If not, definitely for next year. But just a little bit of some music and some kind of pictures to kind of start the podcast off with, kind of get us hyped up. This song that it's not a song, right? But this thing that I hear at the high school that they play all the time, right? It always kind of gets me in the mood for football. So I figured, this thing, you've heard it too. And then, you hear that stuff at the beginning, man, it pumps up, gets the blood going. Hopefully it'll get us excited, a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds, maybe 45 seconds to a minute, that we'll hear this intro, kind of get something going here for the Gridiron, and then come on and get it going. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I've been working behind the scenes trying to get intros for all 4 of my podcasts. So definitely have something picked out. Hopefully it'll all come together like I wanted to. Well, definitely that's something to look forward to. But again, here on the Gridiron right now, we've got a couple of more weeks to recap the rest of the 3A and then going into 2A. And then, of course, we'll take a little bit of a break and then we'll come back in the summertime and start preparing for 7 on 7. That just comes right around the corner. It didn't take very long. So still a little bit more of Gridiron. Yeah, a little bit more of Gridiron. And like I said, we've got a lot of great quarterbacks in the Coastal Bend area that we're going to be covering just in the Coastal Bend area that I'm really, really excited about, on top of the other 10 teams that we're going to add for a total of 47. So here on the Gridiron next year, man, we are going to be busy, and I love every bit of it because we love football, right? So definitely tune into that next week. Like I said, take a look here in a day or two. I'll be posting up, if not tonight or tomorrow, the next group, the next district that we'll talk about, and then I'll later on give you the date and time that we'll be talking about this and uploading this. So hopefully Tony will be free to join us because I like it when he's on with us. Just makes the conversation better. But if not, me and TJ can take care of business, right, TJ? So
Oh,
definitely
sure.
real excited. I'm always excited about coming on and talking football here in the Coastal Bend area. So TJ, I'll pass it over to you, man, before we call it a night. Anything you want to add?
Well, like I said earlier, congratulations to J.C. Smith and Matthew McHugh. For one, J.C. Smith, hell of a talent. I can't wait to see him play this season. And Matthew McHugh, I will be checking in on Crowley to see how they're doing, how their offensive stats are doing because he is the new offensive coordinator over there. So I mean, it may be a tough transition to start out year one, but year two is gonna be good for Crowley for sure. But we just got done with the Super Bowl. Going into the XFL and USFL, I will be talking about that more, Gabriel, on the Pigskin Mafia podcast. Um, so if you guys are interested in pro sports or semi-pro sports or college football, head on over to the Pigskin Mafia podcast live on YouTube, and I'll be live tomorrow to talk about the Super Bowl recap and to talk about my epic failure in the picking the Eagles over the Chiefs and my one chip challenge that I did live on Facebook.
I
And
saw that.
that was not pleasant
No, it
at
didn't look
all.
like it was pleasant. It looked like it was painful, man. But you
Oh,
did it. Yeah, you did it, and that's all that counts,
it,
right?
I mean, I didn't eat it. That's one thing I didn't do was eat it because I didn't want to go to the hospital, man. Those things are lethal, man.
It
I
is.
mean, it it may be safe to say that they're more deadlier than a gun, but I will say this. But for the PMP tomorrow, I will be talking about the Super Bowl recap, my epic failure as a uh, championship predictor, because I am now 0-2 in championships as far as pro sports and college football. And then I'll be talking a little bit about the XFL because that's coming on this weekend on Saturday, where these you got the return of the XFL. And Gabriel, I don't know about you, but I love this XFL.
I've never really looked at it. I can't say I like it or don't like it. I don't really pay much
Yeah,
mind to it. I never have. But you got to look at something, try something to see if you like it or not. I've always been an NFL guy. I really never Canadian, all that stuff never really interested me. I did
yeah,
see some arena football when I first went down here to Corpus, man, and I loved it. I mean, I didn't think I was going to like it, but I had a friend that was
yeah.
playing there, a couple of guys that I knew. So I went down there with some tickets and man, listen, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a little different. So
Was it the Hammerheads or was it the
yeah, I was a Hammerheads.
Fury?
Yeah, I was a
Oh,
Hammerheads.
okay.
So I mean, I'd never been there. I didn't think I was gonna like it because I'm an NFL setting, but I ended up enjoying. We went a couple of times. I took my boy
Okay.
when he was younger.
Yeah.
So listen, you never know what you're gonna like. So I'll definitely, look at it and see if I like it or not. But so far, I've
Yeah,
always been just an NFL guy.
and then I will also talk about USFL. And then before I end the show, I'll be talking about the coaching carousel in the NFL, college level, and also top free agents in the uh, in the NFL. So it's gonna be a long podcast for me tomorrow, Gabriel. So
Well, I'm
hope
always tuning in. If I can't catch you live, when I get time, if I got a little bit of spare time, I hit you up on YouTube on your podcast, and I'm a
yeah,
supporter, obviously, of the Pigskin Mafia. So I love listening to you. I saw the guy you had on this last week. I thought it was great. Guys seemed like you had a
DTL
lot of
or
fun, and
DJ Little King, man. Shout out to him. He was
mm,
a great guest, along with Booby Miles and Coach Eric Martin from Seminole, Florida. Um, I mean, I I love that he wanted to come on, and I he's a big supporter of the Gridiron as
mm.
well, and also GT Sports. DJ Little King, shout out to you, man. You were great, and we had a great conversation, and also uh, I look forward to the draft this year in
Yeah,
Gabriel?
I checked out some of his stuff. I know his podcast. I checked out two of his
Yeah.
videos with the guys, the crew and stuff, and it was great. I saw it. I
It
hadn't
was
seen
long.
all of them, but we support each other all the time. We all talk different things, and I love coming on. I love talking sports, and this is why I did it. I mean, people can disagree with me and love it. It's a platform that we have to be able to shine some light on our programs, on our coaches, what they're doing down there, having the community get excited about them, and giving exposure to these kids that we have down here. I'll be honest with you, I enjoyed it all, but I really love paying attention to our youth, the youth, because it's the
Yeah.
future, right? If you see them when they're young, when they're, in this youth, and then they start out at 10, 11, and then you follow them all the way to senior. That's the exciting part. It's not just in football, but if you see it in baseball, and when you see the young talent, because you can see them at a young age, they start working them out, and you see that talent in the next year, and you build it up. That's what really excites me, to see them at a young age. I saw some youth football here in Rockport, boy, and I'll tell you, there were some guys there that were just electrifying to me. I was just, whoa, and I look forward to going back next year and talking about the programs that we have here. But that's where it starts. It starts at a young age in basketball and softball, baseball, everything you do. It starts there with the
Yeah.
youth program, working your way up. So we do a lot here, and we're going to continue to grow and get better. And hopefully our team here on the podcast, we can have more guests that come on and talk about their programs. We can agree or disagree, but we all have our opinions. But the one thing I ask is that we respect each other's opinion, whether you agree or disagree. And if we can do that, we're
Yeah.
going to have a lot of fun on the Gridiron 64. So TJ, thank you very much, man. Like I said, if I can't catch you live tomorrow because I got my own things I got to do, I will
Yeah.
definitely, when I get time, I always go in there and check you out. So good luck tomorrow. I don't think you need it, but it's been good so far. I enjoy listening to you on the Pigskin Mafia, talking about your picks, and talking about what because I know you do football. That's it. You don't do any other sport. It's all football
Yep.
for you, 365, right? So I know how much you love it. So that's why I tune in, and I am a supporter of the Pigskin Mafia. So you guys, he comes on Thursday. You can catch him on the Pigskin Mafia YouTube channel. Catch this guy. He's usually got a couple of guests, but if not, he gets in there and he'll let you know what's going on in the football world,
And
man.
I
So,
tell it how it is, Gabriel.
yeah, that's what you do, man, with a lot of respect, right? But you got to call it the way you see it. So definitely, man, good luck tomorrow on your podcast. I look forward to having you next week as we break down some more and recap the 2022 season. So just tune in. If not by tomorrow or tonight or tomorrow, I'll let you guys know on our Gridiron 64 Twitter and Facebook the next district that we will talk about. So until then, have a great night, buddy. Enjoy it. And I will see you next week.
Yes, sir. Goodbye. And good night. Bang.